What if the fairy tale romance that captured hearts more than 30 years ago finally returned in 2025? Imagine Julia Roberts and Richard Gere back together on screen, joined by today's brightest stars, like Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet. Fans across the world are asking, could Pretty Woman actually make a comeback? When we talk about timeless love stories, Pretty Woman is always near the top of the list. Released in 1990, it became one of the most iconic romantic comedies ever made, and even decades later, it's still a film that people return to again and again. Directed by Gary Marshall, the movie brought together Julia Roberts, a young rising star at the time, and Richard Gere, who was already a leading man. What happened on screen was pure magic, chemistry so natural and powerful that it made audiences believe in fairy tale endings. The story itself was simple, yet unforgettable. Vivian, played by Julia Roberts, was a woman struggling to get by on the streets of Los Angeles. Edward, played by Richard Gere, was a wealthy businessman used to living in a world of power and money. When their paths crossed, it created one of the most unlikely romances in movie history. What started as a business arrangement quickly turned into something deeper, something real, and something that reminded audiences that love can be found in the most unexpected places. But Pretty Woman wasn't just about romance. It was about transformation, hope, and the idea that people are more than the labels society gives them. Vivian wasn't simply a woman looking for a way out. She was smart, funny, kind, and full of life. Edward wasn't just a cold businessman. He was someone who could learn, grow, and open his heart. Together they proved that love isn't about where you come from, but about seeing the best in each other. One of the reasons Pretty Woman is still remembered today is because of its unforgettable moments. Who could forget the shopping spree scene where Vivian walks into a boutique after being rejected and later returns with confidence, showing the world she's not to be underestimated? Or the glamorous opera date, where Edward gives her a taste of elegance and culture and she shines brighter than anyone in the room? And of course, the final scene, the one where Edward climbs the fire escape with flowers, proving that he's ready to be her knight in shining armor. These scenes became instant classics, replayed and quoted for years to come. Julia Roberts' performance was a huge part of the film's success. Her charm, her laughter, and her ability to bring depth to Vivian made her a household name almost overnight. She went from being a rising actress to one of the most beloved stars in Hollywood, even winning a Golden Globe for her role and earning an Oscar nomination. Richard Gere, with his cool and collected performance, balanced her energy perfectly. Together, they created a couple that felt real, flawed, and yet magical. The cultural impact of Pretty Woman can't be overstated. The film grossed over $460 million worldwide, becoming one of the most successful romantic comedies of all time. But its influence went beyond box office numbers. It shaped how people viewed romance in movies, it gave hope to dreamers, and it became a symbol of the 90s. Even today, younger audiences discover it and fall in love with the story all over again. What makes Pretty Woman stand out even decades later is its ability to connect with people emotionally. It wasn't just a Cinderella story, it was about real human connection, about breaking down walls, and about believing that love can change people for the better. That's why the idea of a sequel or a modern continuation excites fans so much. They don't just want to see Vivian and Edward again, they want to feel that magic once more. Over the years, there have been countless discussions about whether Pretty Woman would ever get a sequel. Julia Roberts herself has often said that the original movie ended perfectly, and that sometimes stories are best left untouched. And yet, fans never stopped dreaming. The idea of revisiting these characters, seeing where life took them, and connecting their world with a new generation has always lingered in people's minds. That's why the concept of Pretty Woman 2 in 2025 feels so powerful. It's not just a movie, it's a chance to bring back a story that defined an era and pass it on to a new audience. For those who lived through the original release, Pretty Woman represents nostalgia, comfort, and a reminder of simpler times. For younger fans, it's a chance to experience the charm and heart of a film their parents or even grandparents loved. The idea of combining the old with the new, Roberts and Gere alongside Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, creates the perfect bridge between generations. It's more than a sequel, it's a cultural event. So when we think about the legacy of Pretty Woman, it's clear why people are so excited at the thought of a return. The idea of Pretty Woman 2 has lived in fan discussions for years, but imagining it in 2025 with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere returning, and with new stars like Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, brings the concept to life in a way that feels both nostalgic and fresh. So, what could such a sequel look like? Let's explore the possibilities. At the heart of any continuation would be Vivian and Edward. It's been more than 3 decades since we last saw them ride off into the sunset, with Edward climbing Vivian's fire escape and declaring his love. But what happened after that? Did the fairy tale last forever, or did real life bring new challenges? That's the question fans have always wanted answered. In this imagined sequel, Pretty Woman 2 could begin by showing us Vivian and Edward in the present day. They've built a life together, but like all couples, they've faced ups and downs. Edward may have stepped away from the corporate world, or perhaps he's still balancing business with family. Vivian, once the outsider in his world, may now be a strong, confident woman with her own passions, dreams, and influence. Their story wouldn't be about falling in love for the first time, it would be about what it takes to keep love alive across decades. That's where the new generation comes in. Imagine Zendaya playing the daughter of Vivian and Edward, or perhaps a young woman inspired by Vivian's story, someone who's determined to make her way in a world that often underestimates her. Zendaya's presence would connect the legacy of Pretty Woman with modern themes of independence, empowerment, and self-discovery. Just like Vivian in the original, Zendaya's character could challenge social expectations and remind audiences that true worth can't be measured by money or status. Timothée Chalamet, on the other hand, could play a number of intriguing roles. Perhaps he's the son of Edward and Vivian, growing up in privilege but searching for his own identity. Or maybe he's a romantic interest for Zendaya's character, a modern counterpart to Edward, representing both temptation and possibility. His natural charm and emotional depth would add layers of complexity, making the younger storyline just as captivating as the original couples. The concept of Pretty Woman 2 would likely explore the contrast between old-fashioned romance and modern relationships. In 1990, the film was about grand gestures, fairy tale endings, and breaking down walls between social classes. In 2025, relationships face new challenges: technology, fast-paced lifestyles, shifting values. The sequel could show how Vivian and Edward's love has survived in a changing world, while also reflecting the struggles that younger couples face today. It would be a story that honors the past while speaking directly to the present. Of course, fashion and style would play a huge role, just like in the original film. Imagine Julia Roberts returning in elegant, timeless outfits, while Zendaya brings bold, cutting-edge fashion to the screen. The contrast alone would create visual magic, classic beauty alongside modern glamour. And fans would no doubt be waiting for new iconic scenes, perhaps even a reimagined shopping montage or a glamorous red carpet moment that echoes Vivian's opera night. These callbacks would be gifts to longtime fans while introducing new audiences to the thrill of those moments. The sequel could also tackle deeper themes. In the original, Vivian struggled with how society judged her, while Edward struggled with his own emotional walls. In a modern version, those themes could expand. Questions of identity, career, family, and social pressure could drive the story forward. What does it mean to build a life together when the world around you changes so quickly? How do you pass on lessons of love, strength, and kindness to a younger generation? These are the kinds of questions Pretty Woman 2 could ask, giving the film emotional weight that goes beyond nostalgia. Even the setting itself would be part of the magic. The original gave us Beverly Hills, penthouse suites, and Rodeo Drive. In 2025, the sequel could expand the canvas. New York, Paris, or even a return to Los Angeles, now modern and bustling in a whole new way. Just as the original captured the spirit of the 90s, the sequel could capture the spirit of today, blending luxury and romance with the everyday struggles of finding true connection. At its core, though, Pretty Woman 2 would be about love, the kind that lasts, the kind that grows, and the kind that inspires. It wouldn't erase the original story, but would build on it, showing us that fairy tales don't have to end when the credits roll. Sometimes the real story begins after the happily ever after. And that's what makes the concept so exciting. Seeing Julia Roberts and Richard Gere together again would give fans the nostalgia they crave. Adding Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet would bring fresh energy and new perspectives. Together, they would. One of the biggest reasons fans are buzzing about the idea of Pretty Woman 2 is the casting. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere returning would already be enough to make headlines around the world, but when you add Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet into the mix, you suddenly have a project that bridges generations and speaks to both longtime fans and new audiences. This imagined cast isn't just exciting, it feels like lightning in a bottle. Let's start with Julia Roberts. For millions of fans, she is Pretty Woman. Her role as Vivian made her a global star, and her smile, energy, and vulnerability turned a simple romantic comedy into an unforgettable classic. Seeing Roberts return to the role 35 years later would be more than just a performance, it would be an event. Audiences would want to see how Vivian has grown, how her life has changed, and how her fiery personality has matured over Tim. Julia Roberts herself has aged gracefully, both as an actress and as a cultural icon, and bringing her back would add authenticity, depth, and a sense of continuity. Fans who grew up watching her in the original would feel a wave of nostalgia, while younger viewers would get to see why she's considered one of the greatest stars in Hollywood history. Then there's Richard Gere. As Edward, Gere played the cool, reserved businessman who learns to open his heart. His performance was subtle yet powerful, and his chemistry with Roberts was undeniable. If Roberts brought charm and energy, Gere brought balance and sophistication. To see him return in 2025 would mean revisiting a character who has always represented transformation, a man who found love in the most unexpected place. Now older and wiser, Edward could bring new layers to the story, exploring how love and life look in later years. Gere's screen presence, combined with his history with Roberts, would make every shared glance between them feel like movie magic all over again. But while Roberts and Gere represent the legacy, Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet represent the future. Both are among the brightest stars of their generation, each with the talent, charisma, and fanbase to carry a blockbuster romance. Their inclusion would not only modernize the story, but also guarantee massive attention from younger audiences. Zendaya is the perfect choice for a role connected to Vivian's journey. Over the past decade, she's proven herself as more than just a Disney alum. She's become a powerhouse in both television and film. From her Emmy-winning role in Euphoria to her big-screen success in Dune and Spider-Man, Zendaya has shown she can handle drama, romance, and spectacle with ease. What makes her especially fitting is her ability to mix vulnerability with strength, the same qualities that made Roberts' Vivian so beloved. In Pretty Woman 2, Zendaya could play Vivian's daughter, learning her own lessons about love and self-worth, or perhaps a younger woman who crosses paths with the family and challenges old ideas of romance. Either way, her presence would bring elegance, relatability, and star power. Timothée Chalamet, meanwhile, has built a reputation as one of the most talented young actors of his time. Known for his emotional performances in films like Call Me By Your Name and his larger-than-life role in Dune, Chalamet has an intensity that captivates audiences. He's charismatic, stylish, and capable of portraying both sensitivity and complexity. Paired with Zendaya, he would create an instant on-screen spark. Fans already adore their chemistry from Dune, so reuniting them in Pretty Woman 2 would be a dream scenario. He could play a wealthy young man who must decide between power and love, echoing Edward's original journey but with a modern twist. Or he could serve as a rival love interest, bringing drama and tension into the mix. The idea of Roberts and Gere alongside Zendaya and Chalamet is more than just clever casting. It's symbolic. It represents the passing of the torch, a blending of eras. The older generation shows where the story began, and the younger generation shows where it could go. Together, they would create a film that feels both timeless and brand new. What's equally exciting is how fans from different age groups would respond. Older audiences who adored the original movie would flock to see Roberts and Gere back together. Younger fans, meanwhile, would show up for Zendaya and Chalamet, two stars who dominate social media and pop culture today. This creates a perfect storm of excitement, making Pretty Woman 2 a film that could dominate the box office while also sparking endless online conversations. And let's not forget the chemistry factor. Roberts and Gere already have one of the most beloved on-screen partnerships in history. Zendaya and Chalamet, meanwhile, have become a fan favourite pairing in their own right. Bringing both couples into the same film means doubling the sparks, doubling the charm, and doubling the appeal. The concept trailer for Pretty Woman 2 opens with a familiar yet updated image: the Beverly Hills skyline at sunset. The golden light fades into the streets below, where the world of glamour, luxury, and romance still thrives. Soft piano music begins to play, echoing the theme of the original film, but remixed with a modern touch. Right away, audiences feel the nostalgia, the sense that they're being pulled back into a world they thought was left behind in 1990. The screen cuts to a quick flash of Julia Roberts as Vivian. She's older now, confident and graceful, but that signature smile is still there. The trailer doesn't show her speaking at first, only walking into a grand hotel lobby, her heels clicking against the marble floor. It's a callback to her first entry into Edward's world decades ago, but now the roles are reversed. Vivian no longer looks out of place. She belongs here. She owns her space with elegance. Then we see Richard Gere as Edward. The trailer captures him standing by a window, looking out over the city, his silver hair glowing in the light. He's dressed in a sharp suit, still every bit the businessman, but there's a softness in his eyes. He turns when Vivian enters the room, and for a brief moment, the screen freezes on their reunion. No words are spoken, but the chemistry between them is instantly undeniable. It's the kind of moment that makes longtime fans tear up because it reminds them that true love never fades, it just grows with time. The music swells and the trailer shifts gears, introducing Zendaya's character. She appears in a chic, modern outfit, striding confidently down Rodeo Drive. The camera mirrors the famous shopping montage from the original, but this time it's Zendaya in the spotlight. We see her entering high-end boutiques, facing disapproving looks from sales clerks, and then moments later walking out with her head held high, arms full of shopping bags. It's an unmistakable homage to Vivian's big mistake moment, reimagined for a new generation. Next comes Timothée Chalamet. His introduction is slick, mysterious, and stylish. He's shown at an art gallery opening, surrounded by wealthy guests, but his attention shifts the moment he sees Zendaya. The trailer cuts to close-ups, his charming smile, her knowing glance, and instantly viewers understand that a new romantic thread is being woven into the story. Their chemistry is teased with just a few shots, a conversation at a candlelit dinner, a shared laugh under city lights, and a moment of tension where they nearly kiss. But the trailer doesn't just focus on the new characters, it makes sure to highlight the balance between past and present. In one scene, Edward and Vivian are shown watching Zendaya and Chalamet's characters from across the room. Edward whispers something, and Vivian smiles knowingly. It's as if they see their younger selves reflected in this new pair, and it hints that part of the sequel's story will be about passing down lessons of love, courage, and self-discovery. The visuals continue to blend glamour and emotion. Quick shots flash across the screen, Vivian in a red evening gown, echoing her iconic opera dress. Edward standing in the rain, holding an umbrella for her. Zendaya dancing barefoot in a hotel suite. Timothée leaning against a classic car, offering his hand. Each clip is short, but together they create a mosaic of romance, drama, and style. One of the trailer's most powerful moments comes when Vivian delivers a line of dialogue. She looks directly at Zendaya's character and says, "Don't let anyone tell you your story doesn't matter." It's a simple sentence, but it hits hard, connecting the original themes of Pretty Woman to a modern audience. Fans immediately understand that Vivian has become a mentor figure, using her own journey to inspire a new generation. The trailer also teases conflict. We see Zendaya walking away in tears, Edward arguing with someone in a boardroom, and Timothée slamming a door shut. The music builds into something dramatic, hinting that this isn't just about love, it's about choices, sacrifices, and the struggle to find happiness in a complicated world. Finally, the music slows, returning to the soft piano melody. The last scene mirrors the ending of the original film. This time, it's not Edward climbing a fire escape, it's Timothée standing outside a modern apartment building, flowers in hand, shouting up to Zendaya's character. She leans out of the window smiling down at him, and the trailer cuts to black. The words Pretty Woman too appear on screen in bold, elegant letters, followed by the tagline, "Every fairy tale deserves a second chapter." As the trailer ends, audiences are left with goosebumps, the nostalgia of seeing Roberts and Gere, the thrill of Zendaya and Chalamet's energy, the balance of old and new, classic and modern. It's not just a sequel trailer, it's a love letter to fans who never stopped believing in happily ever after.